Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Adoration School of Ministry, daily devotional. And today we're going to be looking at Psalm 103, verses 1 through 6, actually 1 through 5, sorry. But we're going to be looking at the first part of this psalm. And actually we're going to do three parts to Psalm 103. This psalm starts out, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. It says, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all of his benefits, who forgives all your iniquity, who heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from the pit, who crowns you with steadfast love and mercy, and who satisfies you with good, so that your youth is renewed like the eagles." I love the first part. I love the entire psalm, but I love how David starts out this psalm. And I want to talk about this thing where he is talking to himself, first of all, motivating himself to be animated to give glory to God. And he uses the term bless. Bless the Lord. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Now, we understand that all blessings, all of how God expresses grace to us takes the shape and form of blessing. But then there is this thing, the blessing that I have received, the grace that I've received, which I don't deserve and I haven't merited it, but then it comes and empowers me and enables me not only to be able to bless others, but I am able to resonate back to God, and I'm also able to reciprocate back to God honor and glory and blessing back to him. You know, I love to use this phrase where it says, your children will rise up and call you blessed. And what that means when our children return a blessing that as a father and mother we have given to our children, the blessing that is returned, it simply means that they're recognizing where the source of their blessing came from. And so David is saying, I want to bless the Lord. I want to speak, I want to declare, I want to acknowledge the source of all blessedness that I've experienced. All the goodness, all the generosity, all of the glory and the greatness that God has shared from his heart and hand. I want to acknowledge the source of all blessing, and that blessing is Yahweh. And he's also speaking to himself here. He is motivating himself by talking to himself and saying, you need to acknowledge God. You need to acknowledge the greatness of his character, the greatness of his nature. You need to bless his name, which is acknowledging his goodness and his nature and his character. And I find that many times we need to talk to ourselves. We need to tell ourselves and to give ourselves instruction and tell ourselves what we need to be doing. And so David repeats this, and by repetition, there is revelation, an awakening, a spiritual alertness that he wants to give to his soul about the work of the soul and what it needs to be doing. The soul has been enriched by God. The soul has been blessed by God. The soul has had a revelation of the grace of God, the goodness of God that has come to it. And he said, now, soul, you need to rise up and acknowledge the source of that blessing and bless the name of the Lord. Bless the Lord, O my soul. And I just want to pause here, and I don't want to overemphasize it, but I do want to make sure that we don't miss it. There is a spiritual discipline that we need to take responsibility of the work of our soul, and to shape our soul to be a soul that is ready to give thanks to God, that is praying without ceasing. I've been teaching in our church fellowship about giving God thanks in all circumstances, praying without ceasing, rejoicing evermore. We've been in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 in those instructions that Paul gave the people of God. And I feel like this is a part of spiritual formation and God shaping the soul. And our soul needs to be reminded, our soul needs to be disciplined to say, this is what the soul needs to be doing. You need to be focused upon God and focused upon God's heart and making eye contact with God throughout the day, acknowledging Him in all of your ways, and knowing that He's involved in your life, knowing that He is leading and guiding and shaping your life. Acknowledge Him for who He is, the source of all blessing. And then he tells his soul, this is the reason why you need to be blessing God, worshiping God, honoring God, acknowledging the source of all blessing. Because if you're not careful, you can forget His benefits. And David uses this phrase, all of His benefits, who forgives all your iniquities, who heals all your diseases. He wants to say, the nature of God's salvation has been comprehensive. Look at the scale and the scope, the greatness of God's salvation, and what are the benefits and the aspects of all that He has done for you. Don't fail to acknowledge all of what He's done. And so, remembrance, the power of remembrance, restores to us a heart of gratitude. Remembrance and recognition enable and empower a heart of radical gratitude. And he said, don't you forget all the benefits. Don't you forget that He has cleansed you and forgiven you of all your iniquities. Don't misunderstand and limit God, because He's not only forgiven you, He heals all of your diseases. And we see the scale and the scope of salvation. We see the comprehensive nature of it. The fullness of the gospel is a salvation of spirit, soul, and body. And not only ultimate redemption of our body in the resurrection, but God is a healer. And not only does He heal the heart, not only does He heal the soul, but He also restores the body. And He is the one who was wounded for transgressions, bruised for our iniquities, and the chastisement for our wholeness, spirit, soul, and body, was upon Him. And by those stripes that He received, we are healed. So David said, all the benefits, don't forget them. They include spiritual benefits, but also very natural manifestations of the benefits of the covenant. He heals our diseases. He redeems our life from the pit. He redeems our life from destruction. In other words, we should have an expectation, putting upon our head the helmet of the hope of salvation, anticipating the intervening grace of God. He redeems our life from destruction. But then not only does He forgive and heal and redeem, but now He bestows, He crowns us with a covenant love, a steadfast love and mercy. And then David said, the result of this steadfast love, the revelation of His covenant love, His loving kindness and His tender mercy, and His healing and forgiving of us, and His restoration and redemption of us, all of the inclusive nature of His benefits. He said, we become satisfied with the goodness of God. We are satisfied with the graciousness and the goodness of God. And the result is the fruit and effect of us tasting of the Lord and knowing that He is good, is that our youth is renewed like the eagles. And this is a much deeper teaching, but birds go through a molting process where they lose their feathers that are actually the feathers that are necessary and needed for flight. And so they lose their navigating and flying feathers. But they go through a molting process, but then they regrow them. And they regrow them, and they're larger, and they're renewed. And so David gives the imagery of a bird that has lost all of its feathers in a molting process, or the majority of their feathers, but then they are renewed, and they look as if they are young again. And this is what God is trying to say. I can renew your strength. I can give you not only strength for the journey, but I can renew you in a way in which there is a freshness and a renewal strength that comes to you that allows you to go further and farther in God's purpose for your life. That is the benefits of salvation. Renewal and redemption, spirit, soul, and body. He strengthens us with divine might. Life from the inside out. And that life on the inside, that Zoe life of God, should be affecting every aspect of our being. That's the goodness of God. Oh, bless the Lord, oh my soul. Do not forget any of His benefits. Bless you.